everything you want is on the other side of fear. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Funky Brain Podcast. My name is Dennis, and this is my Funky Brain. And I'm super excited today. I have Mr. Eric Faddis from the Varner Faddis Elite Legal Team, and we're just going to have a chat. So, Mr. Faddis, how are you doing today?
Doing outstanding, man. It's getting a little blizzardy outside, it looks like, but that's to be expected. It's Colorado, so
It's Colorado. Yeah, we live in the Rocky Mountains. You can expect that in February. We had for those that are not in Colorado, we had a crazy October and November, like a fall, like Halloween. There was like a foot of snow on the ground. And then it kind of stopped up until about 2 weeks ago. And so I was just expecting that big blizzard we get in March and April, but we've been getting hit now.
Oh, it's still coming too. I think we're gonna get dumped on come March, and sometimes it's even into like April and early May. It's Colorado, man. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, we always joke about Mother's Day. You make your Mother's Day plans and you're picturing with Mother's Day, mom and chocolates and flowers, but we might also have some snow.
Totally. Yeah, it could be a complete blizzard. That's, as the old adage goes, if you don't like the weather in Colorado, wait a day.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about Varner Faddis Elite Legal. Tell me about it. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your fiance, Lauren, you run the firm with, but go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So, my name's Eric Faddis. I'm an attorney here in Colorado. Colorado native. You don't see that all too often anymore in Colorado. But
you are unique for sure.
I know, which is wacky. It's a weird feeling, but yeah, Colorado through and through. I've been an attorney since 2012. I have a fiance, Lauren Varner, who's also an attorney. And in August 2018, or I guess a little bit before that, we were working at different firms, and we're kind of, doing the work so that the partners could really get paid, and we would get sort of a pittance that they would throw at us towards the end. And during that process, you kind of you observe some inefficiencies, and you observe some things that could be optimized. You have people doing things like it's 1992, right? And it's not. And so, we kind of said, hey, we love the people we work for, but we can do this better. We can do this in a way that saves the clients money, that maximizes financial recoveries for clients, and that ultimately provides a higher caliber of service than we believe is available in Colorado. And so that was sort of the impetus of Varner Faddis Elite Legal. So we started in August 2018, like I said. We've been going strong since then. We've grown from just 2 members to we're about to hire our 9th person.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, we're retained on more than 200 cases. And, so we're really trying to be a departure from some of the, we're not your grandpa's old stuffy law firm. We're not like a bunch of old white dudes in front of a bunch of law books who don't know how to send an email. That's not us,
Right.
So we've really tried to adopt that idea of being modern and being cutting edge and being the law firm of the future. And I think that we are on our way to accomplishing that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And actually, I want to share the way that we met was actually on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I was just following along on some of Eric's posts, and he has, maybe you'll find out during our talk here, but he's a funny fellow. And I love his comments. They're very blunt and to the fact, and sometimes there's a little humor thrown in there, and that's kind of the way I roll too. So I think that's why we hit it off. We met for coffee last month, sometime maybe 2 months ago, and we just had a great conversation, which is why I thought it might be a good fit to have on the podcast here.
Oh, totally.
And the other thing was really cool, just to switch into what you were just talking about with the business. There's a lot of people that always say, I want to start a business, and because I'm good at this. and something you said, it was really good. You're like, we were working for these other firms and, I learned a lot. I was doing this, we were doing that, but it wasn't, we thought we could do more. We thought that we can do more, not only for ourselves, but for our clients. And
Right.
so we started a business. But a lot of people don't understand, and this is cool, it sounds like you do, is that there's a difference between doing what you're good at, your craft or your skill, your profession, and running a business. Those are different things that will consume you, which is why most businesses fail.
Oh, so true.
So how have you been able to overcome, like when, there's a lot of people that are like, I'm a good cook, I'm going to open a restaurant. And then less than a year later, that restaurant closes. I'm a good electrician, so I'm going to start an electrical company, but you don't realize the expenses, the costs that go into running a business, and the hours, the labor, the taxes, everything you need to do to run a business is separate from your craft. So how is it that you've been able to learn all that and become successful?
To be candid with you, it's really been a bit of a rude awakening, at least early on, a bit like jarring. Like you said, that, a person might be a good chef. There's millions of good chefs. I'm a good lawyer. There's millions of good lawyers. And so I think one thing to keep in mind is that how are you going to distinguish yourself? And also, like, what is your why? Do you want to open up, we wanted to open up a law firm that modernized the practice of law, that revolutionized how this practice that's been going on for millennia is done. And so we made a concerted effort. We had a plan, and we were like, how are we going to be different? There's in Colorado, there are all of these types of law firms within our fields, which are personal injury and criminal defense. And so we said, how are we a departure from them? And we wrote it out. We had a brainstorming session, and we kind of like put our heart into it. And we said, how do we want to be different? And we talked about, we're going to have state-of-the-art technology. And we do. We have the most cutting-edge case management software. We enlist the foremost experts. We have 3D imaging software that shows spinal injuries. And so people know that if they come to our law firm, we are going to be different than the large mill firms in the city that still, like I said, some of the partners don't even know how to send an email. So we have sort of put our signature on our craft. And so when people think of us, they think of, that next level law firm of the future. And so that's how we've distinguished ourselves. So for those folks who are considering starting a business, how are you going to be different? There's countless restaurants out there. There's countless accounting firms out there. So what is going to make you different? What is going to set you apart? I think that is so critical. And also defining that why piece. Is it just because you like cooking food, or is it because you want to enrich your community? Is it because you want to broaden the way that people think about a certain type of cuisine? So I'd encourage folks to really delve a little bit deeper during the planning stages when you're going to open a business. And then, also to your question of the administrative side, that was, practicing law is hard enough, right? But I didn't know, when you open up, you need 9 different types of insurance, and you need to get in touch with the phone system folks, and it takes weeks for them to just make a phone work in your office. There are all of these sort of hidden hurdles that sort of jump out at you as you're going along this journey. And so just be prepared for that. And if you can, have a partner, have a person by your side that's going to assist you through this. Lauren, my fiance and law partner, has been so instrumental in just shouldering a huge portion of the work, and then also just kind of being there when we have issues come up that you just don't foresee when you're going to open a business. The insurance stuff, the admin stuff, the phone stuff, the IT stuff. So if you can, have a great contemporary who's with you, who can assist you.
Yeah, that's really good. And there's 2 huge points that you brought up there. And I'll start with one, the finances. A lot of people, even if you are smart enough to have a business, you have to factor in, not only what is it going to cost to open a business and run a business, but what about working capital? What about the costs that come up? Like you said, well, I planned for insurance, but I didn't plan for 9 different kinds of insurance.
Right.
And what about your rent or your mortgage? And what about eating and your car insurance? Like people forget about, I have to live too. And in most cases, when you start a business, you have to really, really not plan on making money for a little while, maybe a year or two, maybe even more, depending on the kind of business that you have. And so most people don't plan for that. And a lot of people end up financing things, and then you end up bankrupt or in a really bad situation.
See, that's what that's an excellent point. And so we thought about that in advance. Thank heavens. And because you gotta, like you said, you gotta make sure that not only the business doors stay open, but also that your body keeps functioning, that you have enough food to subsist. And those are important pieces. And so we were able to sort of pool together some assets. A business is a risk, right? I mean, that's
big time.
That's what it's about. And so if you want to reach that highest echelon, no one ever got there by playing it safe every single time. There are times you should play it safe, but sometimes you've got to take that leap, right? And so we did that, but we did it in a smart and sustainable way. And so thankfully, we don't have any credit line that we have to pay off. We don't have any debts with respect to starting the business. And
that's really great. Yeah, another piece is that, and I really want to stress this because especially if you turn on Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is that you're turning on, we see a lot of memes, like saying, you were born to be the best. You should step out of yourself. Like just the things you're saying. Like if you want to achieve greatness, you got to step out of yourself. Take that risk. Do the things that you want to do. But I just also want to add this. Yes, and I have the same mindset that you do, and I've experienced some pretty good success, and I've been pretty lucky. And then I've had the downside too, a lot of failure as well.
Oh, totally.
But but you're gonna fail if you're gonna try big things like that. But I also want to add that not everybody is built for it. There are some people that are built to start, run businesses, own businesses, and go to that upper level. And there's some people that were meant to be really good employees, and you can excel in an industry as an employee. You can make lots of money. You can invest well, be intelligent, still take vacations and buy nice cars and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I just want to stress that, not everybody's built for, not only just starting a business, but handling the daily stressors like you were talking about that come with it.
Right.
And the risk. Like some people, like my mom, she's not a big risk taker. She worked in the same place for 35 years, and she wanted that security of knowing I get this paycheck every week or whenever she got paid, the insurance, like this stuff was paid for. This is my schedule. She liked that. I'm not into that, and I don't think you are either so much. Yeah. I'm willing to take the risk and have that failure for what could be on the other side, and I know it is because I've been.
Oh yeah, no. I think that's great insight, and like you said, you kind of get in where you fit in, and one way to operationalize that is do some self inventory, like really just give yourself a day.
I love that.
Totally. And just mark off a day, mark off a Saturday or something. And, if you're near the coast, go to the beach or go to a coffee shop or whatever, or just be, privately in your home. But do kind of an investigation, really go into who you are, what your skills are, what you're good at, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. Because it's so, it's so easy to get caught up in the stress and chaos and fast pace of the world that we live in, that when people believe they're ready to take this leap, all of a sudden that they haven't, thought about a bunch of stuff that goes into it and whether it's truly the best fit for them. And so I think that really getting to know yourself on that deeper level, define your core principles, define your defining characteristics. And I think that can really give you a great foundation from which you can derive, kind of self-guidance. And I think that people who go into it more haphazardly without doing the work on the front end, that could be a recipe for failure.
It could be, yeah. And one last thing before we kind of shift gears a little bit is another important point you brought up is your why. And I think that it's so important to define your why. And for those that are listening that don't understand what that means, I'm talking about, like, if you're opening this business just to make money, in most cases, it's not going to work, and or you're not going to be happy, because there's a lot of other things, for lack of a better word, that really go into it. You know, are you helping people? Are there other motivations besides just money? Because money is not the end all, and it's so important to know that.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, and it really is kind of like a more shallow motivator as in terms of like overall depth, right? So like, you know, initially it's cool, you got some extra money, you can go to, you know, the little bit nicer restaurant and order the lobster instead of the salmon or whatever. But you know, as time goes on in your business, you've got to have something that is fulfilling on an existential level. You've really, that's where your drive comes from, for me anyway. It's not like, you know, oh, I can make an extra, you know, few thousand if we do something differently. It's really like when I get up at 5 a.m, what is propelling me out of bed? And it's not going to, at least for most people, it's not solely money. Money's fine to be one factor. But, you know, for us with the law firm, it was, like I said, not only modernizing the practice of law, but also helping folks who are injured, helping folks who are in probably the most vulnerable times of their lives, or at least one of the most vulnerable times of their lives. And then also, we're huge on community outreach. So giving back to that community that has supported us, that's made, you know, this business happen. That is one thing that really sort of galvanizes me when I get in a rut or something like that. And on that point, I wanted to ask you, like, so Dennis, when everyone gets in a rut, right? Sometimes you're just like, you know, you're bummed out, something's not going wrong at work or home or whatever. Any tips for like how you kind of bring yourself out of that rut?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can get into this for quite a while.
That's for sure.
These are my favorite kinds of topics. And, you know, getting in a rut, it's not like, oh, that happens once a year. That can happen like, you know, once a day sometimes. And, you know, I think, first of all, the greatest gift is awareness, right? So it's saying, all right, I'm in this rut. You know, here we wake up in the morning and we have these plans. This is how the day's going to go. And, you know, I'm attached to the way that's going to go. And then it doesn't happen that way. And now I'm in a rut, or now I'm unhappy, or now I just feel, or depressed, or whatever your word is, or how you feel. And it's the first thing you have to do is identify that. And if you can't identify it, then you're walking around angry, and you're sensitive and resentful. Yeah. And those are the energies you're carrying out into the world. So if I can first identify it and say, all right, wow, things aren't going the way I want them to, or I'm not getting the sales that I want, or the meetings that I want, or things aren't turning out the way I want. I'm in this rut, or I don't feel good. Once you've identified it, then you could do something about it. Yeah. So I could say, all right, things are not going the way. Well, okay, first of all, in my case, I got to calm down. First thing, I have to calm my brain down, because what happens is, and I was just going through this in the last couple of days. I was like, you know, it was some personal stuff. And I wake up early in the morning, and my brain starts going about all the bad things. And I had to stop it. I have to stop and redirect my thinking as soon as possible, because if I don't, then I'm just stuck in that train of thought. And then those are my experiences. If I can calm my mind down and then redirect my thinking to positive thinking, and even what I've been doing a lot with my sweetie pie is we've been meditating together. And what we'll do is first we meditate together, and then we do visualization. And visualization, I have to tell you, everybody who's listening, how important this is, because everybody's aware of like the law of attraction, right? Nowadays, everybody's heard about that. The book, The Secret. It's basically like, as you think, so shall you experience. The energy you're putting out into the world is the energy that comes back to you. So if I can say, all right, well, right now, early in the morning, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to calm my mind down. And then I'm going to go to the gym. And then I'm going to eat something healthy. I'm going to drink lots of water. And then I'm going to have this meeting. And this is how that meeting is going to go. It's going to go really well. They're going to be engaging. They're going to ask questions. They're going to be interested in what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to have lunch. And then I'm going to have this meeting. And then I'm going to talk to this person. And then I'm going to go do this. And these are the outcomes. Yeah. So if I visualize that day and then I go do that day, I go make that day happen. And that's how I get out of these ruts. It's like really shifting my mindset. So I'm feeling good about me, about how things are going. And then I go make that stuff happen. So that's how I do it. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I will sort of, if I'm in a rut, like you said, you kind of got the train going in the wrong direction, and I will try and sort of divert that path. And so I'll throw something in there that you could call it a distraction. But whatever. So like going to the gym, that's a great thing to kind of just like, you're in this context of, you feel the weight coming down on you, you're in a rut. So get out of that. Throw that context to the side and put yourself in a different environment. Engage in a different activity. And so I'll go to the gym. I like music. I'll listen to music. Sometimes that'll help. And
what you're talking about, I think, sorry to interrupt. I think what you're talking about is, also taking care of yourself. And so we have a saying in my world that we say, do the next right thing. So if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm in this rut and everything, the world's crumbling down on top of me and nothing's going the way that I planned it to be and all this stuff is going on, I don't have to figure out what's going to happen for the next year. I just have to figure out right now, what's my next right thing to do? And sometimes it's go to the gym. Sometimes it's do this, read this book or learn this thing or talk to this person. And sometimes it's go get some ice cream.
Yeah.
Totally. Like do something that makes you feel good, because then you're going to change your mood and then you're going to be more productive, effective, and the right solutions or answers are going to come to you.
Yeah.
If you keep living in that rut, you're not going to get out of it. Keep living with that down thinking, that world crumbling on top of me. You're going to be stuck there until you do something different.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, it's so easy too, right? When that's going on in your life, sometimes or at least for me, there's some consolation in like saying, oh, the woe is me. And, oh, this is so bad. And I'm going to like listen to
a pitiful thing
and like, just like really dive into the suck. And perhaps that there's a place and time for that occasionally, but at least for me, I can't allow myself to get too bogged down into it. I can't play into it, over the whole day and be moping around like this, Eeyore black cloud in the office. I've really got to switch it up kind of in a drastic way. And I found that can sort of like jostle me out of that funk that I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really valuable information. I think so many people, in fact, I think the majority of people that experience these situations, they get stuck there for a really long time. And then that's where like, alcoholism and abuse and overeating, all kinds of those, that's using like unhealthy emotional coping mechanisms.
Right.
Instead of just like, what's wrong? Let's handle this. Right. But first identify it, go get some ice cream.
Yeah.
Or do whatever it is. And, some people can drink a glass, like I need a happy hour. I need a glass of wine. And that's fine. You use it to decompress. But it's like all the way through though. It's like, all right, I'm going to blow this off for a little bit because I'm not feeling well. I'm not being productive. And then I'm going to come back to it when I'm feeling better.
Totally. Yeah. No. And I think, as you mentioned that, identifying it piece, I think is huge. As you continue to talk about it, that really resonated. I was like, yeah, That's right, because otherwise you're kind of just like, you have this vague sort of amorphous bad feeling, and it's just like kind of sticking with you, and you don't really know what it is or what to do about it, unless you kind of do the work to, like you said, identify it and recognize it and maybe investigate kind of where it may be coming from. And so, yeah, I think some of that work is important to breaking out of that rut.
Yeah, awesome. What inspires you to keep going? Like, what's been like, was it like a movie? Was it your parents? Was it, what got you into this? Like, cause you're a high energy person. Like we feed well off of each other.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And I like, it's, for some people, it's just all natural. For some people, it requires work, but to keep going, like the energy, what inspired you and what continues to inspire you to keep going? Like,
yeah. So I think like, one thing that's always been really motivational for me is like observing like peak human performance. And so one thing I go back to is the Olympics. And when I was growing up, my dad loved the Olympics. And
I love the Olympics too. I love that you're bringing this up.
Totally, yeah. So no, I totally dig it. And it's really like people who have strived for all of their life to reach the pinnacle in what they do. And I think that translates into art, into music, into movies, into business, into politics, into law. And so I think like, just observing the accomplishments of these figures who have reached that peak human performance is certainly inspirational. And then like, that translates into me wanting to be the best version of myself. Like I see this person like doing this like downhill ski slalom at like 3,000 miles per hour or whatever, and like risking life and limb to show that they want to be the best in the world. And if they can do that, then I can, write this brief in a way that is extremely cogent and compelling. And I can have this trial advocacy where I am like touching the heart of the juror. So I think that, really observing people who are inspirational to you can, of course, be a motivating factor. I'm trying to think recently, like Teddy Roosevelt is a big influence for me. I actually have a tattoo of him on my back.
You do? I didn't know that about you. That's interesting.
Robe right now, but I don't know if the podcast listeners would enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
But
you look great, though. You look great.
Thank you. Right back at you, does. But yeah, so I mean, Teddy Roosevelt, like he was constantly a fighter. Like he was just. He had all of this energy. He had such a will to achieve, and he did it with integrity. He didn't do it by being underhanded, or certainly didn't do it by cutting corners or anything like that. And so I think that when you can kind of identify with some of these figures who have achieved, you can sort of derive some, not only inspiration, but even like energy from that, and sort of like incorporate it into what you're doing. And so that's something that's helped me is looking up to folks whom I greatly admire.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love the Olympics, and in fact, they've inspired me quite a bit too. It's really funny when because I was a skier.
Yeah, that's right. A
pretty high level skier, and it's the same thing when the Olympics came on, or even like I would watch all the skiing, like the World Cup, and on Saturday afternoons, whenever it was on, and then I would be like, let's go skiing. And I'm going to push it really hard. Or I like swimming. So I've been swimming a lot lately. But I remember when the Summer Olympics were on recently, whenever that was over the last couple of years, I was watching the Olympics swimming, and I never swam harder in my life. I couldn't wait to go to the gym the next day and swim. And I was like, I can't believe I did that. Cause I was like picturing racing against Michael Phelps or somebody at an elite level. And I was like, and you know what I think about that? It's really interesting is like, the only difference between us and them, and there is a genetic component, absolutely, in each of those Olympic athletes, but the only difference really is that they started when they were really young. Like that's the difference. We're all humans. We really are equal. in so many different ways. And some people have more advantages than others. We don't have to discuss that part there because that's a given. But at the same time, it's like you get good at what you practice.
Yeah.
You get good at what you do all the time. If you're sitting on the couch playing Xbox, you're going to get really good at that.
Right.
So what do you want?
Good at a whole lot of other stuff, but really good at like Xbox Call of Duty, right?
Exactly. If you keep practicing Xbox, you're going to get really good at it. So think about that. If you pick up dumbbells and start curling all day, every day, your biceps are going to get stronger.
Yeah.
You read books about law, you're going to learn how to practice law, and you have to go out and practice it. The more you work at something, the better you get at that. So think about, what are you doing? What are you practicing?
Right.
Because you're going to get really good at that.
That's a great point. And at least for my career, I know that early on, I was pretty terrified of like trial work, right? Because you're in this like kind of scary courtroom, and there's
everybody's
this like
staring at you.
There's this ominous judge, and there's all the eyes are observing like everything you're doing, and I kind of just wanted to crawl in a closet and get away from it. But I practiced it. I did it routinely, and I actually intentionally sought out a job that would make me do it. I was a deputy district attorney in Arapahoe County for quite some time, and you're in the courtroom every single day. And so, over the course of time, I ended up doing like 48 jury trials and like 100 plus hearings, and now I love it. And I like to think I'm pretty good at it. So yeah, the more that you can, like you said, what you practice, you're going to become good at. And so I think that goes the opposite way too. If it's like a negative habit, if it's a negative behavior, that's going to become ingrained in your life and part of your lifestyle and your habit. And you might be good at it, but it might not be something that you want to be good at. So.
That's right. And it's hard to unlearn that, right? It's hard to unlearn that behavior. And then when you get into like in my case, my past, the addiction cycle, it's really hard to get out of that and form new habits. So, hopefully my thought is that there's somebody young listening to us talk right now that's like, wow, that makes really good sense. And that's why I love doing these things. Like, I like doing these things. Trust me, I don't make a lot of money doing these podcasts, but my hope is to help somebody. That's my why. Why do I do this? Because in our talk, when I do these by myself, I try to keep them 10 to 20 minutes. For us, it might be an hour, whatever it is. It's like during this time, if we can just reach one person and change somebody's life, that's my why. That's what I want. And if I can talk to some kid who's 15 years old, who's getting stoned right now, and like, I want to be a lawyer, but not yet, or I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to sit here and play Xbox. If we can change that, like, how cool is that?
Oh, no, I couldn't agree more, dude. And like, I recently gave a talk with this Great Minds series in Colorado on the power of consistency. And a big part of it was, just like you said, you are what you do consistently over time. Yeah. And so make sure that that's like something you're proud of, and make sure that that's something that you want to be great at. And so, yeah, just everyone needs to keep in mind that those behaviors you do consistently become like who you are as a person.
Yeah, and who you hang around with too. I would say, like, if you hang around with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the next millionaire. If you hang around with 5 stoners, you're probably going to be a stoner. If you hang, what is it? If you hang out in a barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. So look around and see who you're surrounding yourself with, because you're going to become that, whether consciously or unconsciously. You're going to become that. So choose wisely your path, your playmates and your playpens. Who are you hanging out with, and where are you hanging out? If you want to become a rich and successful, put yourself in there somehow. Find a way to do that, and then you're going to become that.
Yeah, no, and that's something that I've certainly experienced in my and my fiance's life is, in terms of activities, we go to this meditation group, like you mentioned meditation earlier. That's huge for us. And I would encourage everyone who's even considering, just try it. Like, it's easy, right? It's not like a big undertaking. You don't
Well,
need.
it's hard at first, but yes, it becomes easier.
Yeah, no, it can definitely be difficult to like get into it, but the mechanics of it are easy. It's really just like
Oh, right, yeah.
oversimplification. Is just like sitting there and, like you said, calming your mind. And there are a ton of guided meditations and tutorials that people can find on YouTube or wherever. But yeah, so we joined a meditation group, and these were all folks who were either enlightened or kind of on that path to enlightenment, and somewhere, very early on in the path or midway through. But they were like-minded people who kind of shared our value system and shared our vision for how we want our lives to be. And so, yeah, just like make sure that the people you surround yourself are on that same plane, on that same trajectory with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I love how you, I really just want to comment on this too, for those that are listening, is that, Eric, there's a certain stigma attached to a lawyer or attorney of the past, the attorneys and lawyers of the past. And it's cool to hear you, a personal injury attorney and a successful one, talking about meditation and calming your mind and virtues, these positive virtues that we're talking about. Maybe it's more common now, but it seems to me like a rarity, and it might be more common now. I don't know, because
and that's kind of that was part of our sort of thoughts for forming this firm. Is we wanted something that was holistic. We're not here to just like make a bunch of money. Like, we are here to give back to the community. We're here to advance the practice of law. We have these higher level goals in mind for our business, and all of those notions when it comes to meditation, when it comes to community outreach, we infuse those into our messaging that we send out into the public. And so that's just sort of another business tip that I would convey is is define what that core set of principles is for you and for your business and the vision that you have, and then make sure that people, potential clients or customers or whatever, know that. Make sure you're putting it out there. There was this ridiculous stigma back in the day that attorneys shouldn't market, they shouldn't do commercials, that kind of thing, because it was like uncouth or whatever. But for me, like, if I have this beautiful service that I think could transform a human being's life, I'm going to shout that from the rooftops. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to be brash and brazen about it. And I think that at least if that fits with your personality, you should consider that. Because that's worked out very well for us. It's defined who we are within the industry.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And it comes across in your messages too, which is, and I'm going to talk about marketing a little bit since you brought that up, is because, when we talk about marketing, there's really 4 phases. Like, most people, when they start talking about marketing, it's like, all right, I have this business. Let's go back. I'm going to start this business. This is my craft. This is my skill. This is what I do. And now I need phone calls, and I need them tomorrow. So here's a bunch of money, and let's do some marketing, right? So now we have Google, and now we have social media. So what they say is, first, all right, let's do marketing. So here's a few $1,000s. Let's plug that into marketing. But then what we find, which is behind that, is web. Right? So your web design, your web development, your website, basically, it's like the bucket, and there's like holes in the bucket. So you have to make sure that you have a solid website. Otherwise, the marketing is like the hose. All right, I'm going to turn the hose on, and I'm putting it into this leaky bucket. So there's a marketing piece, and then there's the web piece. And then after they fix up the web, they're like, oh, okay, now our brand is messed up. So they have to go back, so they go first marketing. It should have been the other way around. We find people end up swimming upstream here when they should have started on this side. And they're like, all right, put that brand. And then this is what I'm getting to, which you brought up, is that brand, most people think is like this logo, right? And the logo is just that's the visual part of your brand.
Right.
There's also the voice part, your voice. What messages are you sending out to your clients, your potential clients? And in your case, what you brought up, it's like you're compassionate, you're empathetic, like you care about people, And that shows in the way you speak, in the messages that you get out. That's all part of your brand. The way your employees answer the phone. And I'm not just talking about your law firm. I'm talking about a painting company, a restaurant, any business.
Of course.
The way your employees answer the phone. Are they friendly, accommodating? Is everything you do transparent? That's all part of your brand.
Absolutely.
Yes, and then there's the environmental pieces like your brochures and stuff like that. But those are all part of your brand, and it's so important to have those things line up to have an effective marketing campaign. And even behind that, before you get to your brand, there's actually some research that needs to be done to make sure that, all right, so first you have to do the research to make sure that the brand lines up with your message, and then you start a website, and then you do the marketing. Marketing is like the last piece in most cases.
Oh, totally. Right.
Yeah. Now, if you're just a small bagel shop, you probably don't have to do all these things and sink, tens of thousands of dollars into all these different projects. But, depending on the type of business you have, it's really important to look at all those different pieces. And you do a really good job of that at Varner Faddis, because it's really apparent you have a strong brand, a strong message where you really care about people. And every time I see you or talk to you or see a post on LinkedIn or something, I could really tell that. It's easy to tell.
Well, that's so flattering coming from such an authority on the subject. So thank you so much, Dennis. Hey, Dennis, just so you know, I've got to leave in a few minutes. I've got another interview coming up. Okay, just sorry.
No, we'll start closing it up.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate this time. I think we had a great conversation. Is there anything that you wanted to ask me here?
Oh man,
what we did.
Yeah. So one thing that came to mind, I'm always about like reinventing oneself and evolving. I think that's so important, and as compared to just like getting stuck in the same you for all of eternity. Like I think human beings are meant to kind of evolve and hopefully get better. So for you, Dennis, any thought, like anything that you plan to change in 2020? It could be personally, professionally, habit-wise, lifestyle-wise, money-wise. Just whatever. Just anything that you may plan on changing, kind of changing it up for 2020.
Yeah, my thing is really to take the leaps and bounds that we were talking about, taking the risks more. I am a risk taker by nature, but I kind of got into a little bit of a rut. I think a lot of it was mental, but I've identified it. Talking to people like you helps bring that out. And so I know that, right? Yeah. So whenever you get stuck, it almost always involves some sort of fear, whether it's like a little bit of fear or hide under the covers and eat chocolate kind of fear. It's like there's fear involved. So it's just identifying it, and then which I've been able to do, and it's just go out and do it. Just do it. I put up a meme today, and it said, "Be different." It's okay to be different. Go out and be who you want to be, not who you think that this world that we live in wants you to be. Who cares about that? Go out and be you. All we're doing is having this experience for like 80 or 90 years, and then it's over. And it goes like this. So stop worrying about what other people think and just step out and do it. And so I always work on that. That's always my biggest hurdle, and that's what I'm doing in 2020. No,
that's beautiful. I'm totally with that. And on that point, kind of one thing that I want to continue to do is, like you said, do things that scare you. Like that's really where there's such an opportunity for growth. It's character building. And even if it doesn't work out, like you can derive a lesson from it, and that will be a very small failure over the course of your, like you said, 80 to 90 years of your life. So give it a shot. Do something that scares you. And I think that this 2020, I intend to even do more stuff that scares me. Yeah, that's awesome. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. Amen. Yeah, I'm with you. Right on, Eric. Well, I appreciate it, man. This has been really awesome, and I hope we could do it again sometime. I think we probably will. And do you have any messages for any potential listeners out there? Yeah, no, it's been a complete honor to be on, Dennis. Thank you so much. I've been following your work for a little while, and just feel privileged to be involved. So thank you. I've just, for other folks, like you said, you're never gonna reach the peak if you don't take a risk. Like I really think that taking that leap is so critical to your own evolution, professionally, personally, and otherwise. So if you're on the fence about taking that risk, take it, man.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks so much, Eric. Have a great day. And thanks everybody else for tuning in. Talk to you soon.
Right on.